Connecticut could be talked about as a dream place. But once you go down a road to where I come from, it's the worst place.
Another shooting in the city of Bridgeport.
9 people were shot, 1 killed.
I just heard a bunch of gunshots.
The shooting took place in the parking lot of the Trumbull Gardens housing complex.
I want to move out of here just so my kids could be safe.
The worst place for a kid to have to grow up in. My name is Harry Bell, and I'm a product of Trumbull Gardens.
This is one of the highest crime areas in the city, and you don't even see a police car. These kind of communities are forgotten about. I knew Harry's family before Harry was even born. Harry started getting older. The choice of drugs in urban communities changed from hardcore heroin to the crack cocaine. Harry's family, unfortunately, were engaged in some of that activity.
January 29, 1984, I was left in the hospital and known as a crack baby. I stayed in the hospital for about a week or 2 to drain some of the crack out of my system. Grew up to about 7 or 8 years old. Then I found out my mother, the lady who took me from the hospital, who raised me, was my aunt. Seeing my mother, an addict, walking up and down the street, seeing the neighborhood pimps and drug dealers do things to her, sell things to her, that I knew as a kid wasn't supposed to happen, especially to someone that birthed me. I remember this like it was yesterday. My mom set me on the toilet, feet dangling. She had a needle and spoon. She shot the needle in her arm and she nodded on, "Don't do this, don't do this." It's probably weird to some people, but that was the best experience of what not to do in life that she was teaching me.
It is just so heartbreaking to think of Harry, little Harry, having his whole vision of the world shaped by these tragic experiences. You could easily describe his childhood as a living hell.
During my preteens, I was going through depression. Some people, nightmares is our reality. Only thing you heard was boom, 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 boom. Ah! Boom. 10 feet from where I'm standing, right, we see an individual head on the horn looking right at us, dead.
Kids are exposed to so much violence and so much negative behavior that they become numb to it and they think there's nothing wrong with it.
Sometimes when they're in an area like that, they grow up too fast. We need to allow children to grow up and to be children.
I didn't have no therapist or nothing like that to deal with it. So what I did was, I did something that make me happy, something that make me feel better. I sketched and wrote positive quotes to go along with the sketches.
Every child has potential. Harry was one of my prodigies. I had him in an alternative program. And I told Harry, this is not for you. You've got to get out and you've got to give back to your community.
When I had my son, the first 3 years of his life, I was still battling depression. I was still battling the fact that I might not make it out Trumbull Gardens. I wanted his life to be better than mine. One day, I was drunk, and then the only thing I remember, I was about 10 feet away from my house in a pool of blood, and my son smacking me. "Get up, Daddy. Get up, Daddy." That day forward, I said I have to change.
I started watching Harry. Slowly but surely, he started doing more and more things. So I could see Harry evolving into a youth community activist.
Color a Positive Thought coloring book started with a gift solely for my son. I took my sketches and quotes and created a coloring book. I thought doing something like this will bring connection that nobody would know, but me and him will understand. My son would not put that book down. I remember one day I get a call from his teacher and I get to the school She said, your son is telling everybody you created this book. And I told him, that book comes from Scholastic. You didn't create that book. I said, I did. About a couple days later, I got about 40 copies, gave each kid a book. 3 days later, News 12 came to my house asking about this book. I learned that a gift for somebody could be meant for everybody.
When you come across somebody like Harry, it's hard for me not to be moved and intrigued and to want to celebrate him in my role as a reporter.
Every page in my coloring book has something to do with what I experienced.
The purpose of this book is to teach kids to take pride in the places they come from, the places they call home, and to take pride in themselves, in their own families.
I like it because this is where I grew up and where I live at.
That book has a message that these kids that you and I can't talk to, listen to. And that's what is the driving force for Harry Bell.
Harry took his tragic narrative and he turned it into something beautiful to impart love and humanity on other young people. That's the essence of the American dream.
People thought I was crazy. I was selling coloring books right where people were selling dope. I probably sold over 500 copies just in my neighborhood alone. And I was trying to better my community because with that money I was making, I was doing little events for the kids. From buying food, doing backpack giveaways, I reinvested back into my community.
Harry is genuinely a humble, hardworking, ethical person. Harry Bell deserves whatever goodness is down the road for him.
We should all be thankful for the great work that Harry Bell has been doing in Connecticut. Coloring a positive thought has been such a source of joy and learning for so many.
You don't tell kids about their past. You tell them about future and what they can do and believe in them.
In order to achieve, you have to believe. I want you to point at Tammy and follow me. In order to achieve, you have to believe. Kids are everything to me. When I was a kid, I had to grow up fast. I had to do things that, and feel things that I believe a kid should never have to feel. So I believe if I can put smiles on some kid's face that I know that are going through the things that I was going through living in this community, that I have a chance to help them get out this community. Because positive is not cool. You can die being positive. I believe I owe it to them.
Money is not the only thing that we need in these neighborhoods. We need people who are sincere.
And he's always watching out for other people. You never hear him talk about himself or any issues that he has. It's always about the kids. And we couldn't be prouder than to be associated with Harry.
I need support. It could be finances, it could be time, it could be just coming out here and letting the kids know that you care.
Somebody like Harry who has a track record of doing the right thing, he should have more funding to expand this thing and grow it.
Some of these kids come to the programs that I bring to this community just to eat. And I don't care. Yes, I do want them to get something positive out of it and learn. But sometimes I know for a fact that this kid may not be grasping anything, but that kid's stomach is growling. So let that kid eat. My actions make me a leader today. My passion make me a leader today. My hardship in the past made me a leader today. I just want to say thank you. Every last one of you guys who have invested in Color a Positive Thought from the beginning. Because without your help, it would have been rocky. But it don't stop now. We need you even more. With your dedication, we can keep this ship going.